First things first. Something's got to change. If you have your worship program, take out your worship program as the lights come up. We've got some information for you today that's going to help you out, I think, to get your 2018 started right. Over these next 4 weeks, we're going to take a look at, do we have the right priorities? First things first. Have we gotten something out of whack, out of order, out of rhythm? Most of us, we have a routine. We have a structure of what we do every morning when we wake up. What are we doing that matters? Are we doing the right things on the first of the day, the first of the week, the first of the month, the first of the year? How do we know if we truly have first things first? What is your routine? When you wake up, you got your routine. You had it this morning and you'll have it tomorrow morning. Some of you drink a cup of coffee. Some of you drink 14 cups of coffee. Some of you drink a cup of water. Some of you get out of your bed and you stretch. Some of you get out of your bed and you exercise. Some of you make your bed. Some of you brush your teeth. Some of you, you call down to your kids. Get out of bed, lazy people. You have your routine of what you do when you get out of bed. Some of you read your Bible. You have what you do already mapped out. It's already mapped out. Most of us, we may not do it every single morning, but most of us have a to-do list. A to-do list. We've got 14 things on our to-do list. Some of you got 14 pages of a to-do list. And then you lay your head down at night at the end of the day, and your to-do list has become a to-didn't list. I didn't get to any of it. I got distracted. People got in the way. I've heard people say that my life would be great if it just wasn't for the people in my life. Listen, we have to understand. Do we really have the right list? Do we have the right to-do list? Most of us, here's my challenge for you today and over these next few weeks. Instead of being focused so much on your to-do list, before you ever get to that list, start with your to-be list. Who am I supposed to be this year? Who is it that God has really called me to be? Before I can do what God's called me to do, I got to know what God wants me to be. And so the question is this year, do we have the right list? Do we have the right to-dos, and do we have the right to-bes? What is really first in your life? If society, if life has taught us anything, it has taught us this, and if you want to write it down, write it down. Life is short. Life is short. We never have enough time to do everything we want to do. Every one of us, there are certain things that are required of you every day. There are certain things that are required of me as a husband. There are certain things that are required of me as a dad. There are certain things that are required of me as a pastor. There are certain things that are required of me. And then there are certain things that I desire. There are certain things that I'm required to do, and then there are certain things I desire to do. And you have your own list of what you desire to do, whether it's put that Christmas toy together that you've been telling your kid you're going to put together for the last 3 weeks. It's take down the Christmas decorations. It's fix your yard. It's fix this. It's do that. When you look at everything you have to do, I have to make food. I have to shop. I have to clean. I have to cook. I have to fix this. I have to help my kids with this. When you look at everything you have to do, you wonder, do I really have time to do everything I want to do and everything I need to do? Life is short. Most of us, when we look at the end of our time, we don't have enough time to do all that we want to do. And yet we wonder, why are things kind of out of balance and not making sense? Psalm 39, 4 and 5 says it this way. It says, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered, how fleeting my life is. You have made my life no longer than the width of my hand. Hold up your hand. Hold up your hand. Just go ahead and hold up. That's how long your life is. Some of you have a little bit longer life than others. Your hand may not be, it depends. Listen to this. My entire lifetime is just a moment to you. At best, each of us is but a breath. Go ahead, breathe in. Breathe out. I don't know how long it takes God to breathe, but our life is nothing more than but a breath to God. We don't have a lot of time. How do we know if the time that God gives us, the first things in life that should matter are the things that we're actually focused on and doing and being? Most of us, it's just the fact of life, most of us always think we have more time than we do to get done what we want to get done. The brother of Jesus, a guy named James. James tells us about life. Look what he says in James 4:14. He says this, why, you don't even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then it vanishes. Now, James is not telling you, don't plan ahead. Don't think about tomorrow. James is not telling you that. James is telling the church this. He is saying most of you are putting off to tomorrow what you should be doing today. Because you think you always have more time to get it right. You always have more time to change what you know needs to be changed. So he says, don't wait till tomorrow to do what you should be doing today, because you don't even know if you have tomorrow. Welcome to Dan River Church 2018. Aren't you glad you came to church today? Hey, Pastor Scott, give me 51 more of these. This is encouraging. Wow, my life is short. I don't have much time, and I'm not doing the right things. Please give me more. We're going to change it in just a second. Here's the one thing these verses teach us. These verses teach us this very simple principle. Our most valuable asset in life is time. Our most valuable asset is time. Our most valuable asset is not our health. It's not our money. It's not our education. It's not our friendships. Our most valuable asset is time. How do you leverage and use the time God has given you? Every one of us in this room, it doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are. It doesn't matter about your health. It doesn't matter about your finances. It doesn't matter about your education. Every one of us in this room has 86,400 seconds today. Every one of us in this room have just over 10,000 minutes in the course of a week, 168 hours in a week. We all have the same time. Now, here's the good news. It's supposed to be good news. The same amount of time you and I have is the same amount of time Jesus had. The same amount of time you and I have to get life right is the same amount of time that Jesus had. Why was Jesus, and Jesus is our example, why was Jesus able to accomplish everything he accomplished in 3 short years? Why was he able to find and to fulfill his mission in life in 3 years, where it takes most of us an entire lifetime to figure out our purpose? And then at the end of our life, we wonder if we figured it out. If what I did really counted. If what I did really mattered. What did Jesus know that so many of us struggle with? What did Jesus do? What was Jesus focused on? Because he had the same amount of time you and I have. But yet Jesus was the greatest difference maker who ever lived. He didn't just dream about it, he actually did it. Why was Jesus able to do that? Well, here's a thought that's not in your notes. And here's what Jesus knew that many of us struggle with. Jesus knew that we cannot do everything, but we can do something. We can't do everything, but we can do something. Many of us in here, we're just simply trying to accomplish too much. And what we're trying to accomplish is based on our own desires and our own plans and not from the Father. Look what Jesus said in Luke 4:43. Jesus said this, but he said, I must proclaim the good news of the kingdom of God to other towns also, because that is why I was sent. Jesus was sent from heaven to earth to proclaim the good news from city to city, from town to town. I am coming to seek and to save that which is lost. Jesus knew his mission. He knew his purpose. So he went from one town. He proclaimed the good news. He healed. He performed miracles. He helped the lame to walk, the blind to see, the lost to be found. And then he went to the next town. And the disciples there, the followers of Christ in that town, They helped the town move forward in the direction that Jesus wanted them to move forward in. Jesus knew he couldn't do everything, but he knew he could do something. In fact, he says in John 6:38, he says, "For I have come from heaven, not to do my will, but to do the will of the one who sent me." Jesus came from heaven, not to do what he wanted to do, but to do what his Father, the one who sent him, wanted to do. And the question for 2018 is this: are we doing what the one who sent us to do? Or are we doing our own will? We can't do everything. And some of us, we think that we can do more than God can. Some of us think that we can do more than we can. Some of us think we can do more than we should. How do we? Because Jesus knew he couldn't do it all, but he knew what he could do. And so you know what Jesus did? He managed what he could do daily. He spent time with the Father. He prayed. He fasted. And he went from town to town and village to village. And he showed compassion and mercy and grace. And he proclaimed the good news. Jesus was speaking to a group of Christ followers, which many of us in here would claim to be. And they had gotten first things first out of balance. They had allowed things that should have been secondary, about 7th or 8th or 9th on the list, they had allowed it to become more important than it was supposed to be. And it consumed their thoughts. It controlled their mind, and they were worried about it and focused on it. And they were missing the fact that Jesus was with them. And so Jesus knew what they were thinking. Jesus knew what they were feeling. Jesus knew that the worries of this life had become more important than Jesus himself. And so Jesus tried to get them back on track. And our theme verse over these next 4 weeks is Matthew 6:33. And Jesus is speaking to followers, and he says this. He says, "But as for you, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you." Seek first his kingdom. Are you seeking your kingdom? Seek first his kingdom. It's about the gospel. It's the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ. Are you seeking to build up the kingdom? And then you seek his righteousness. That means, are you seeking to live in right relationship with God and with others? Righteousness, right living, holy living. It's, are you being who God has called you to be? So Jesus says, here's what will allow all these things that you're focused about, all these things you're worried about, all these things you're consumed with, all these things that you really think are more important than they are, they'll fall into place if you first seek his kingdom. You seek Jesus. You seek the gospel. You seek to build up the kingdom. And then you seek to make sure you're in right relationship with God. And the way you're in right relationship with God is by making sure you're in right relationship with others. Jesus taught us 3 things of where we need to start if we're going to maximize the limited amount of time that we have. He taught us 3 simple principles of how to make sure first things really are first. So if you're taking notes, let me give them to you. Number 1 is this. He taught us that we need to focus on being new, not improved. Focus on being new, not improved. It's the title of this message. New or improved. We love new and improved. We love new and improved. In fact, I got a box right here to prove to you just how much we love new and improved. You know what? If you don't believe me, this afternoon when you get home, go to your pantry. Go to your pantry, and I will prove to you you love new and improved. Because when we go to the grocery store and we see the word new or improved, there's something that triggers in our brain that we got to have it. I went to the grocery store yesterday. In fact, I found this really cool box of honey-made s'mores. You know what it says at the top? It says new, so I bought it. Why? Because it's new. I don't have s'mores. I want new. We love new. I'm going to throw that right there. You know what? Come on, somebody. Oh, my goodness. Cracker Jacks. Woo! You know what it says? You know why I bought it? Because it says new prize inside. Man, come on. Jesus loves me. Yes, I know. There is a new prize inside. How about this? Pop-Tarts. Woo! You know why I bought this? Because it says now new with more frosting, as if it was already not healthy. Now it's got more frosting. Come on. I need more frosting. There's something wrong with my Pop-Tart. There's not enough frosting. I say that every morning. I know you do too. I hope. There you go. And then, this is one of my favorites. Baked Lay's chips. You know what it says? It says, new look, same great taste. How do you have a new look on a chip? It's a chip. It's a baked potato chip. But you know what? I said, ooh, I want to see what it looks like. So I bought it. And now I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to see what... No, I'm not. I'm not going to open it up. I'll give it to somebody later. New. We love new. And it catches our attention. But you know what all those are? All those are. Every single one of them. Especially the chips. Yeah, they're junk food. Okay, that is true. I know. But you know what? Here it is. It's about this. Especially those chips. It says new look, same taste. New look. You know what that really means? That is really about the word improved. Improved. You know what? Let me tell you what the word improved means. The word improved, for the most part, especially in marketing and in branding, the word improved simply means how something looks on the outside. That's what the word improved means. It's how something feels, how something looks. It's all about appearance. Some of us, we're so focused. We're focused on improving our marriage. Praise God, please do. We're focused on improving our parenting, our finances, our health, our friendships. We're focused on improving our relationship with God. That's great, but don't miss this. The word improved, for the most part, at its base level premise, it means I want to change how it looks on the outside. And the word new means I want to be something different on the inside. Focus on the new, not the improved. So many of us were so consumed with how our life looks to other people, how our marriage looks to other people, how other people perceive us. And it's all about the look. It's about the feel. It's about the outward. God himself says, man looks at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart. And if you want 2018 to be different, and if you want to get first things first, you got to focus on the inside, not the outside. And so many of us were so consumed. You've heard the old joke that you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. And that's what many of us have tried to do. In fact, there's a talk show host at night that plays a game, and he plays a game with, is it a candy apple or is it a candy onion? Is it candy apple or candy onion? Because they both look the same. And so you don't know if it's a candy apple or you don't know if it's a candy onion. And you got to take a bite into it, and you take a bite into it, you'll discover really quickly if it's a candy apple or a candy onion. And let me tell you something, folks, onions don't taste anything like apples. Anybody want to take a bite of this onion right now? If you do, you're a little bit weird, and we want to stay away from you. You can try to change something on the outside, but it doesn't change what it is on the inside. And so many of us, we're so consumed with how we look that we've completely ignored who we are on the inside. This year, has Jesus Christ gotten a hold of the inside? 2 Corinthians 5:17 says it this way. This means that anyone who belongs to Christ is a new person. The old life is gone, the new life has begun. Look at that verse. Anyone who belongs to Christ is a new person. You don't just change the outer clothes. You're a new person. Your old life, your old way of thinking, your old language, what you did when crisis came, what you did when frustration came, what you did when disappointment came, what you did when disagreement came, what you did when bitterness came. Your old way of doing life, it's wiped away, it's gone. And you're a new person. The new has begun. He's created you new from the inside out, not from the outside in. And so the question that many of us have to begin with in 2018 is this: have I become a new person? Has Jesus changed me? Has He made me somebody that I wasn't? Or am I just putting lipstick on old clothes? Am I just trying to look different to give people a different impression of who I am, but I'm no different than I've ever been? I'm a new person. Has Jesus ever truly stepped out of heaven and stepped into your life? And then if He has, and I believe for most of you in this room He has, but here's the question. Here's the question. How have I become different? How have I become different? How has Jesus changed me from the inside out? How has my language changed? How has my attitude changed? How has what I watch changed? How does how I think change? How does how I love people, forgive people? How does my rudeness, how does my jealousy, how does my gossip, how has He changed me? How am I becoming different? For some of us this year, we need to be someone different instead of do something different. Are we being different? Are you a new person? And if you are, how is Jesus making you different? You focus on the new from the inside out, not the improved from the outside in. Number 2, Jesus teaches us we must turn intentions into actions. We must turn intentions into actions. Here's the reality. Every one of us, from the time we're 6 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old, 14 years old, 18 years old, we have good plans. We have good intentions. We have good dreams. But then something happens, and our dreams and our plans begin to take us down a road that we never intended to go down. I heard a president of a Fortune 500 company say once, he said, the only difference between dreamers and difference makers are what happens when you wake up. The only difference between dreamers and difference makers, what happens when you wake up. Why? Because some of us wake up and we put things into action. Some of us wake up and we keep waiting for perfect ideal conditions. We keep waiting, we keep waiting, we keep delaying, we keep delaying. We keep hoping, we keep blaming others, we keep complaining about our circumstances, and we never act. We all know there are things in our life that have to be different this year, but we keep waiting for someone else to make it happen. We've got to do something about it. On Friday, Tammy and I were sitting at home, and we were writing down a list of all kinds of different things that we could do for dates, because we try to have dates on a routine basis. So we came up with this about 11, 12, 13 items that we could do when we go on a date, so we can, have fun, so we can spend time together, recreation, all from different categories, whether it's biking or swimming or going to the movie, going to a concert, whatever it might be. And so we talked about what we wanted to do. Some of you who are married, you need to talk about what you ought to do on a date. So we talked about it. So then we agreed upon it. Some of you have a difficulty time agreeing on what you want to do on a date. So we talked about it. So then we agreed about it. So then after we talked about it, and then after we agreed about it, we looked at each other and we said, okay, when are we going to do this? Because there comes a point where you got to put it on your schedule. You got to make it happen. We had a great conversation. We had great agreement. But we still have to make it happen. We have to do research. We have to find out when we're going to go here. How are we going to make it happen? When is it going to happen? There comes a moment when you turn your intentions into actions. Why do parents get so upset with kids all the time? Because they always intended to do what you asked them to do, but they never do it. I tell my sons all the time, hey, how come you're still playing video games? I told you to get off the video game. And my son the other day, he said, Dad, I intended to turn it off. I said, oh, you did? He said, so why didn't you? He said, I never beat this level before. And when I was beating this level, my hands and my brain would not let me turn the computer off or turn the TV off. I just couldn't do it. I intended, but I won a new level, and I just couldn't stop. I said, how come you haven't cleaned your room? He said, because I was beating this video game, Dad. Come on, get with the program. I intended to clean my room. I intended to do my homework. I intended to stop beating up my brother, but his head kept hitting the floor over and over and over. You intend. Adults, we're no different. We intend. Men, I intended to buy my wife an anniversary gift. I just didn't know when our anniversary was. I intended to pay my taxes. I intended to tell her I love her. I told her on our wedding day. She still knows I love her. Intentions. And so many of us, we have great intentions, but where are the actions? In fact, leadership expert Stephen Covey says it this way. He says, we judge others by their actions, but ourselves by our intentions. 2 Corinthians 6, verse 2 says this, says, for God says, at just the right time, I heard you. On the day of salvation, I helped you. Indeed, the right time is now. Today is the day of salvation. Today is the day. 2018 may be the day for one person in this room for God to step out of heaven and step into your heart. Today is your day of salvation to stop delaying. But for the majority of you in this room, today is a great day to start living out your salvation, practicing it, putting it into action, working out your salvation. James 4:17 says, remember, it is a sin to know what you ought to do and then not do it. It's a sin. You know what needs to change, but you're not doing it. We all have something that we know needs to change, that needs to be new. But yet you keep waiting. You keep putting it off. You keep making excuses. And today is the day for you to know what you ought to do and start doing it. Today is the day for you to either allow Jesus Christ to step into your heart, or today is the day for you to live out your salvation in a way you never have before. The two words that will keep you stuck. Two words. One day. One day. Because you know what the danger of one day is? One day is never today. One day is never today. One day, I'll go to counseling. One day, I'll stop that addiction. One day, I'll start having a devotional. One day, I will get a better relationship with my kids. One day, I'll propose. One day, I'll get that degree. One day, I'll start that business, start that book. One day, I'll go to the gym. One day, I'll invite my friend to church. One day, I'll tell my family member about Jesus and how He's changed my life. I'll do it when? I'll do it when the conditions are perfect. I'll do it when they come to me and ask me about it. And so we keep making excuses of when our one day is, and one day never comes. When my spouse does what they're supposed to do, I'll do what I'm supposed to do. When my friend apologizes to me first, then I'll apologize to them. One day never comes. The same brother of Jesus, James says this. He says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves, but do what it says. Do not merely listen to the word and deceive yourselves, If all you do is come on Sundays, but you don't do what it says, you're deceiving yourselves. Every single person in this room, especially, it doesn't matter, listen, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not a Christian. Listen to me. It doesn't matter if you're still checking out who Jesus is. It doesn't matter if you're still in the curiosity stage. It doesn't matter where you are in your relationship with Jesus. Every single person in this room has a next step that you need to take to be who Jesus wants you to be. For some of you, it's I'm just going to keep coming on Sunday and seeing if Jesus is real. For some of you who have given your life to Jesus, I'm going to make this church my church home. For some of you, you've given your life to Jesus, but you've never been baptized. I'm going to get baptized at the first baptism in 3 weeks. For some of you, it's I'm going to start tithing. For some of you, I'm going to start serving. For some of you, I'm going to get in a life group. For some of you, I'm going to lead a life group this year. For some of you, you've got your next step, but you keep waiting. And I'm just to say, today is the day. Today is the day for you to turn all your intentions, all those things that you know that you're supposed to be, and all those things you know you're supposed to do, and say there's no more excuse. There's no more barrier. There's no more obstacle. I know what Jesus has called me to do, and I'm going to take my next step and act. How do you put first things first? Jesus tells us it starts on the inside, not the outside. Jesus tells us it's time for you to take your next step, whatever that next step is, but put it into action. And number 3, he teaches us we've got to turn our whole heart to Jesus. We got to turn our whole heart to Jesus. Not partial, not somewhat. If 2018 is going to be different, going to be better, going to be something you've never seen, it starts with this question. Does Jesus have my whole heart? But for some of you, here's the more important question. Do I want Jesus to have my whole heart? You see, because some of you are perfectly content with the way you are with Jesus. Jesus has some of my heart, and I have some of my heart. Jesus can do what he wants to do in these areas of my life, but I'm going to do what I want to do in these areas of my life. And so you keep a portion of your heart. You give Jesus the parts you want. Listen, the truth is this. As the team comes back out and gets ready to close this service with us, the truth is this. We only believe the parts of the Bible that we obey. We only believe the parts of the Bible that we obey. And so, Jesus, you can have me in these areas, but I'm going to keep doing what I want to do in this area of my life. And folks, you know this. Nothing good comes from partial. Nothing good comes from halfway. Could you imagine if you go to a movie and the movie stops halfway? Hey, I'm going to go. What's going to happen next? I don't know. Tell me what happens, Luke Skywalker. I want to know. Luke, I'm your what? I'm your enemy. I'm your dad. We don't know. It stops halfway. What if you're in surgery and the doctor says, I want to stop halfway? Hey, let's give this guy a double bypass. Oh, no, he's good. Let's just open him up and leave him up. What? No, fix me up. Fix me. Make me whole. Could you imagine if you go out to eat here in just a little bit and the chef says, I don't want to make your whole meal. I'm just going to do it halfway. Halfway. Or that you ask for a steak and you ask for it a certain way. Nah, you're going to get it however I want to give it to you. That's not how I ordered it. That's not how I want it. What if in just a minute we're going to sing a song that really captures the essence of this whole message? But what if we stop the song halfway? Wait a second. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. We sang, I believe. You did it before, you'll do it You'll do it what? You'll do it next week. You'll do it. You'll do it again. Halfway. Do you know in the original text, back in the 1500s, the word halfway actually comes from the word mediocre. Mediocre. And the word mediocre was original in its origin. The word mediocre is a mountain term. It's a mountain climbing term. And the word mediocre means going halfway up and quitting. Going halfway and quitting. You're going halfway in your life, but some of you have quit. And you know what you know when you're climbing a mountain? You'll always be able to see what it's like at the ground level. But you'll never be able to see from the top. You'll never be able to see the grandeur, the beauty, the majestic power of God, of His creation. You're missing the experience. You're missing the view that God wants you to have because you've gone halfway and you've quit. Psalm 119:10 says this, I seek you with all my heart. Do not let me stray from your commands. If Jesus has half of your heart, 2018 will be just like 2017. And you will always find yourself straying from the commands of God. You'll always find yourself out of rhythm with God. Jeremiah 29:13 says it this way, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. You want to seek God's plan for your life? You want to find your mission in life, your calling in life, your significance in life? Then you seek God with all your heart. Not partial, not halfway, not mediocre, but all. All to Jesus I surrender. All to Him I freely give. My heart is yours. My heart is yours. My life is yours. Take it and do with it what you want. Because I'm not on this earth for my will, but I'm on this earth for the will of the one who sent me. Jesus is more interested in my surrender than He is in my success. Will I surrender it all to Him? All to Him I freely give. My heart is yours. My heart is yours. If 2018 is going to be different, if you're going to get first things first, before you can get your to-do list in proper order, before you can get your to-do list in proper order, does Jesus have your heart? Have you truly let Jesus change you from the inside out, or has it all been just outer garments? And today is the day for you to say, Jesus, I give you my life. Today is the day that I'm going to live out my salvation. Would you pray with me?